If you're dealing with an avoidant who keeps pulling away, listen closely, because there's one shift that changes the entire power dynamic, and it's not chasing, begging, or proving your worth. It's the moment you stop feeding their distance, set calm boundaries, and become emotionally unshakable. They don't become your slave. They lose control over you, and that's when they start coming back for real. The moment you stop chasing, pleading, and explaining yourself, the dynamic changes because an avoidant nervous system treats pressure like danger, and it automatically runs from anything that feels like demand, even when the demand is simply, show up for me. You have to understand this. You can't hug a frightened animal by sprinting toward it. You don't create safety by grabbing. You create safety by becoming still, by becoming predictable, by becoming someone who is not trying to trap them, but also not willing to be trapped by their inconsistency. And if you are the person who always reaches first, texts first, forgives first, apologizes first, explains first, then you have unknowingly trained the entire relationship around one rule: their distance controls your behavior. Every time they pull back, you lean forward harder. Every time they go quiet, you get louder. Every time they become unclear, you become more eager to prove, to persuade, to rescue the connection from the cliff. That isn't love, that is anxiety trying to earn certainty, and it is exhausting. Because the more you chase, the more the avoidant feels hunted, and the more they disappear, and the more you panic. And suddenly, you are not in a relationship. You are in a cycle. So when I say stop chasing, I am not telling you to become cold. I am telling you to become steady. I am telling you to stop handing your self-worth to someone else's mood swings and stop treating your dignity like a negotiable item that you barter for attention. Because chasing is not romantic. Chasing is telling your nervous system, I will abandon myself if you abandon me. And you can feel that in your body. You can feel it in the tightness in your chest when they take too long to reply, in the way your mind replays the last conversation like a crime scene, in the way you check your phone like it's a heartbeat monitor. And listen, I know how it feels. You don't chase because you're weak. You chase because you care. You chase because you believe love should be fought for. You chase because you are trying to be the safe place they never had. But the truth is, your love cannot be the glue that holds together someone who refuses to hold anything at all. The shift begins the day you decide, I will not beg for what I am willing to give. The shift begins the day you stop performing your value and you start living it. That means when they go quiet, you don't spiral. You don't send the 5 follow-up messages that slowly turn your self-respect into dust. You don't write paragraphs trying to explain your pain in a way that will finally make them understand. You simply breathe. You return to your life. You do the things that make you feel like you again. You remind yourself that love is not measured by how long you can tolerate uncertainty. And if they come back with a casual, hey, as if nothing happened, you don't punish, you don't explode, you don't pretend you're fine when you're not. You communicate like a grounded adult. You say, I like you and I'm open to this, but consistency matters to me. Disappearing doesn't work for me. And then here is the part that separates a life-changing boundary from an empty speech: you follow through. Not with drama, not with revenge, but with action. You stop giving full access to someone who shows up part-time. Because an avoidant is often used to one thing: the comfort of knowing you will always be there no matter how little they do. They may not say it, they may not even realize it, but your chasing has been a cushion, your overgiving has been insurance, your constant availability has been permission for them to keep the relationship at the exact distance that feels comfortable for them, while you do the emotional labor of closeness alone. When you stop chasing, that cushion disappears. Not because you became heartless, but because you became honest. And honesty is powerful because it removes the fog. It stops the relationship from being built on hope and starts building it on reality. Now, I need you to hear this clearly. Stopping the chase is not a trick to make them run toward you. It is a decision to stop running away from yourself. It is you saying, I can love you, but I will not lose me. It is you choosing a calm, clean standard, the kind that doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it doesn't threaten, it simply exists. The standard is, if you want closeness with me, you show up with effort, communication, and respect. If you can't, I won't hate you, I won't fight you, I won't chase you, I will step back, because my heart deserves stability, not suspense. And the reason this is so emotionally powerful is because for the first time, you stop treating their avoidance like a verdict on your worth. You stop hearing their silence as, "you're not enough," and you start hearing it as, "this is where they are," and you stop making it your job to drag them somewhere else. In the beginning, it feels terrifying because your nervous system is addicted to the chase. It believes that if you stop reaching, you will lose them forever. And maybe you will. But listen to me. If you lose someone because you stopped begging them to stay, then you were never holding love. You were holding a door open for someone who kept walking out. And there is grief in that. Real grief, because you weren't just attached to them. You were attached to the future you imagined, the version of them you kept seeing in flashes, the moments of warmth that made you believe the next time would be different. Let yourself feel that grief, but don't let it turn into bargaining. Because bargaining is how you return to the chase. Bargaining is how you trade your peace for a maybe. And here is what happens when you truly stop chasing. Something in you becomes quieter, stronger, clearer. You start to recognize your own value without needing them to validate it. You start to feel attractive again, not because someone texted you, but because you are back in your body, back in your life, back in your center. And that energy, that grounded self-respect, does something very specific to an avoidant. It removes the pressure while removing the guarantee. It says, "I am not here to trap you, but I am also not here to be taken for granted." For some avoidants, that is the first time they feel a version of closeness that doesn't feel like control, because you are not demanding. You are simply not available for chaos. And that can become a mirror that forces them to face themselves. Either they step up or they step away. If they step up, it will be slow, it will be imperfect, it will require patience, but it will be real, because it will come from choice, not from your pursuit. If they step away, you will still win, because you will have stopped living on their terms. You will have reclaimed the part of you that was shrinking, the part that was apologizing for needing love, the part that was calling crumbs a feast. And one day, you will look back and realize the moment you stopped chasing was the moment you stopped bleeding. It was the moment your heart stopped being a bargaining chip and started being a home again. The most powerful thing you can ever bring into a connection with an avoidant is not intensity, not persuasion, not emotional fireworks that burn hot and fast. It is calm consistency, the kind that doesn't beg, the kind that doesn't threaten, the kind that doesn't collapse when the other person goes quiet. Because an avoidant has often learned, long before they met you, that closeness equals pressure, that love comes with strings, that needs become demands, that emotions turn into obligations. And when you show up like a storm, even if your storm is, "I just care so much," their body hears danger, and their system does what it has practiced for years. It creates distance to feel safe again. That is why your steadiness matters. Not because you're trying to win, but because you're trying to build something that doesn't destroy you. Consistency is not chasing someone every day to prove you're loyal. Consistency is being the same person with the same standards, the same warmth, the same self-respect, whether they are close or far. It's not punishing them when they pull away, and it's not rewarding them when they come back with the bare minimum. It's you saying, through your behavior, "I'm not here to force you, but I am here to be treated well." And listen to me. This is where most people confuse secure energy with being passive. Being calm does not mean being silent about what you need. It means you speak your needs clearly, once, maybe twice, with dignity, without turning it into a long courtroom presentation, without twisting yourself into a new personality just to avoid scaring them off. So let's talk about the standard, because that's what changes everything. The standard is not, "text me every second or else." The standard is not, "prove you love me." The standard is simple. If we're building something, there is effort, there is respect, there is communication, and there is consistency. That's it. And when you hold that standard, you don't hold it with anger, you hold it with calm. You don't hold it like a weapon, you hold it like a boundary around your peace. Because your peace is not a luxury, it is the foundation of your life. And anyone who wants access to your heart has to be someone who doesn't treat your peace like collateral damage. This is the part that is going to feel emotional, Because when you start to embody calm consistency, you're going to notice how addicted you were to chaos. You're going to realize how often you thought anxiety was love, how often you mistook intensity for intimacy, how often you used overgiving as a way to prevent abandonment. You're going to feel the urge to fix the silence, to fill the gap, to smooth it over, to send one more message that finally makes them understand. And I want you to pause in that moment and breathe and say to yourself, I am allowed to be calm, even if someone else is confused. Because the truth is, when you stay calm, you stop handing your nervous system over to someone who can't hold it carefully. Now, an avoidant will test steadiness, not always on purpose, but because their system is scanning for danger. If you are warm today and cold tomorrow, if you explode and then apologize and then explode again, it confirms their belief that closeness is unstable. If you chase and then disappear and then chase again, it confirms their belief that love is unpredictable. But if you are consistent, if your kindness doesn't turn into desperation, if your boundaries don't turn into cruelty, something starts to shift. They begin to realize you are not trying to control them, you are simply not available for inconsistency. And that can be the first time they experience a kind of connection that feels safe because it has structure, it has clarity, it has reliability, it has consequences that are quiet, not dramatic. Quiet consequences are powerful. Quiet consequences look like this. They cancel plans last minute with a vague excuse. You don't beg them to reconsider. You don't pretend you don't care. You simply respond with calm honesty. Okay, I'll make other plans. Let's connect another time when you're sure you can follow through. And then you actually make other plans. They disappear for days and return like nothing happened. You don't explode. You don't punish. You don't act like you're grateful for crumbs. You say, I'm glad you reached out. I also need consistency. Disappearing doesn't work for me. And then you don't pour out affection like a reward for their return. You stay kind and you stay measured because your heart is not a vending machine that pays out love every time someone presses a button. This is where the emotion comes in, because calm consistency requires you to tolerate discomfort. It requires you to tolerate not knowing. It requires you to tolerate the possibility that if you stop over-functioning, the relationship might reveal its true shape. And I know that is scary, because your mind will whisper, if I don't do something right now, I'll lose them. But what you're really losing when you keep doing that is you. You lose your sleep, your appetite, your focus, your joy, your confidence, your ability to feel safe in your own skin. You start living as a reaction to their availability, and the day you choose calm consistency, you are choosing to stop living like that. You are choosing to come back to your center. And here is what I need you to understand. Holding standards is not about making them feel guilty. It's about making yourself feel safe. When your standards are clear, your heart can relax. Your mind can stop negotiating with disrespect. Your body can stop bracing for the next withdrawal. And the person in front of you gets a simple choice. They can meet you where you are, or they can keep living in avoidance. If they meet you, it will not be because you pressured them. It will be because they felt the stability of your presence and decided to grow. If they don't meet you, you will grieve, yes, but you will grieve with your dignity intact, not with the exhaustion of someone who spent months trying to earn basic consideration. So show up with warmth, but don't chase. Speak with honesty, but don't plead. Offer your heart, but don't hand it away. Be consistent enough that your love feels like a safe place, and be boundaried enough that your love never becomes a prison for you. Because the real power is not in getting someone to stay, the real power is becoming the kind of person who only makes room for love that is steady, respectful, and real. You don't change an avoidant by outsmarting them, and you definitely don't change them by trying to control them. Control is the language of fear, and fear is exactly what they've been running from their whole life. What changes everything is when you become unreachable to chaos, not unreachable as a punishment, not unreachable as a game, but unreachable because you finally decided your heart is not a place where disorder gets to live. You stop being a person who can be pulled into confusion, pulled into arguments that go nowhere, pulled into silence that makes you doubt your worth. You become the kind of calm that doesn't beg, the kind of presence that doesn't chase, the kind of love that doesn't barter itself down to stay in someone's life. And listen to me, this isn't about being tough, it's about being true. It's about the day you realize that your softness is sacred. And if you keep offering it to someone who handles it carelessly, you are not being loyal, you are being unkind to yourself. Unreachable to chaos means you do not respond to hot and cold with hotter. You do not respond to distance with desperation. You do not respond to mixed signals by becoming a detective of crumbs. You respond with clarity, and you keep your dignity so intact that even when you're hurting, you still move like someone who knows what they deserve. Because here's what chaos does. Chaos makes you reactive. Chaos makes you lose your voice. Chaos makes you over-explain, over-give, over-compromise until you can't tell the difference between love and survival. And when you are reactive, you become predictable in the worst way. They pull away, you chase, they return, you reward, they disappear again, and your life becomes a revolving door. You stand beside, hoping this time they'll stay. Unreachable to chaos means that door is no longer your job. You don't slam it, you don't nail it shut with bitterness, you simply stop standing there. You stop living your life on the edge of their choices. So what does it actually look like in real life, not in theory? It looks like you speak once, calmly, clearly, without drama. You say, I enjoy you, I'm drawn to you, and I want something that feels consistent. And if we're going to do this, I need communication and effort. And then you stop talking. You don't keep trying to make them agree. You don't try to force a confession. You don't push them into a corner. You give them space to choose, and you give yourself space to breathe. That is not weakness, that is strength, because you are no longer trying to manage another person's nervous system at the cost of your own peace. It also means you stop accepting access that doesn't match intention. They want the benefits of closeness, but none of the responsibility. You don't rage, you don't shame, you don't lecture, you simply don't participate. You don't keep offering late-night emotional intimacy to someone who disappears in the daylight. You don't keep giving partner energy to someone who shows up like a guest. You don't keep making yourself available as an option while you're asking to be chosen. You become very simple. You become very clean. You become someone who is warm when it's warm and absent when it's chaotic, not as a tactic but as self-respect. And this is the part that will touch your heart, because when you become unreachable to chaos, you will feel the loneliness you used to avoid by chasing. You will feel the silence in your own home, the quiet in your phone, the space where you used to pour your energy. You will feel the urge to go back to the old pattern, to send one more message, to soften the boundary, to make it easier for them. And I need you to remember, making it easier for them has been making it harder for you. It has been stealing your sleep. It has been shrinking your confidence. It has been teaching your heart to expect disappointment and call it normal. So when the loneliness hits, don't run back to chaos to escape it. Sit with it. Let it pass through you, because on the other side of that discomfort is a version of you that is no longer negotiable. Unreachable to chaos means you stop being available for conversations that punish you. If they stonewall, you don't beg them to speak. If they turn your feelings into too much, you don't audition for the role of easy. If they make you feel like asking for clarity is a crime, you don't defend yourself for wanting basic respect. You simply step back and you say, I'm open to talking when we can do it with care. And you mean it. You do not stay in the fire just to prove you're loyal. You do not bleed just to prove you can endure. Love is not measured by how much pain you can tolerate. And when you only offer access through respect, effort, and real presence, something profound happens. The relationship becomes honest. It stops being a performance where you try to be the perfect combination of low maintenance and endlessly patient. It becomes a mirror. They either meet you in the truth or they drift away from it. And if they drift away, it hurts, yes, because you cared, because you saw the good in them, because you imagined what it could be. But the pain is clean, not chaotic. It's grief, not confusion. It's disappointment, not self-destruction. And clean pain heals faster than messy pain because clean pain doesn't come with self-betrayal. If they do meet you, it will not be because you controlled them. It will be because they felt the difference between someone who chases and someone who stands. They will feel the difference between being tolerated and being required to show up. They will feel, maybe for the first time, a connection that is not begging them to change, but also not enabling them to stay the same. Your calm becomes an invitation. Your boundary becomes a structure. Your self-respect becomes the price of entry, not because you think you're better than them, but because you finally stop treating your love like something that should be earned through suffering. So I want you to hold this in your chest like a promise. You are not here to be someone's lesson at the expense of your life. You are not here to be a waiting room for someone who can't decide. You are not here to turn your heart into a place where inconsistency is normal. You are allowed to want devotion. You are allowed to want effort. You are allowed to want a love that feels like peace, not suspense. And the moment you become unreachable to chaos, you stop trying to win them and you start choosing you. And that is the moment your entire energy changes. Your entire life changes. Your entire future opens up because you become the kind of person who can only be loved in a way that is real.